Welcome to my Curious Mind podcast. Have you ever been curious about time travel? As a human being, you time travel and I time travel regularly, moment to moment, in fact. We're one of the few species on the planet that has the ability to search back in our memory and also forward into our imagination and project. Our toughest challenge, though, I believe, is staying in something I call current reality. So, if I say to you, hey, what did ice cream taste like the first time that you tasted it? Did you like it? Was it okay? Was it vanilla? Was it chocolate? Was it strawberry? What was it? You'll now be busy searching back, time traveling into your memory to recollect and find what kind of ice cream it was and how did it taste. And you'll also pick up how you felt and where it was. Now, if you're like me, I can remember ice cream being given to me on a little taster as a small boy and going, wow, this is good. It was vanilla. But not everybody has the same experience. So let's talk about time travel. It's been the subject of so many studies over time that it's strange, really, that we even notice it, right? You know, it's a strange thing. Throughout history, we, humankind, have been aware of the passage of time. In fact, Aristotle wrote about it, or I should say, he spoke about the stream of time in his physics lecture. William James spoke of linear memory as early as 1890. So what is linear memory and how does it impact you? Well, you see, for me, when I think of linear memory, I know that the past is behind me. I am currently in current reality, and my timeline, the future, moves out in front of me. And this is what I mean by time traveling. You see, when I search my memory for how I did it last time, I'm going back into the past, collecting the information and bringing it forward and adding it to the moment, and it all happens instantaneously. Now, when I say future time, that's when I might be daydreaming of how I'm going to fix this or how my vacation is going to be, and I think and I plan in the future for an event that hasn't actually happened. So that's time traveling within your own mind. Now, what's unique about that? It seems that most humans actually can do that. But it's unique in the sense that not too many mammals or insects or others, beings or plants, or they can't do that. You know, a rose is a rose because of its genetic programming. It doesn't really have a memory. It does have genetic coding that says, well, yes, it will grow in this climate and it will be a red rose or a pink rose. And even as I say red rose or pink rose, you see a rose. Where'd you get that picture from? You got it from your past experience. Of course, if you've never seen a rose, you won't see it. Now, here's the other thing. There isn't anybody else or any other species that we know that have future memory that they can project into the future. Certain mammals can teach, certain avians, certain birds can teach each other. We know that. That's kind of teaching. And once it's taught, it is remembered. But they don't have the ability to project forward. The tiger knows to walk on its hunting path on a regular basis, finding and understanding where its prey is going to be. That's a form of memory, but it can't imagine that if it was in a different land, how it would hunt. And ants behave as ants because of genetic programming. So why is it so important to understand time traveling? Have you ever been? So are you curious about that? Let me share an experience with you. Many years ago now, I went back to the UK to see my father, who was getting aged and wasn't doing that well. And as I went to see him and visit him, he kept switching back and forth between now and the past. He would ask me questions that sort of how's work, but the questions about the work indicated that he didn't know what I did now, but it was based on, and then he would even switch back to how was school today. He had lost his sort of ability to stay current, and that seems to be part of the aging process. As we age, we seem to spend more time back on our timeline. Now, what's current reality then? Well, current reality is this moment. It is current, belonging to present time, happening or done now. It's absolutely current. As I say that, I am recording this podcast for you. That's my current reality. Sometime in the future, you will be listening to it. But when you listen to it, it will be in your time. It will be in your current reality. So, are you curious about current reality and how it affects us? Well, I am, and have been for quite some time. Current reality I have used as a training tool and as a teaching tool in my various workshops and as a coach. But here's what happens. Most of us get tricked out of our current reality on a regular basis. Marketers and advertisers and fiction and TV talk shows will pull us out of our current reality very easily. Now, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, good, or bad, but they do. I'll just say it. Buy now, pay later. So that's typically a Visa statement or MasterCard, or it's in an ad about a pair of shoes or a car. Buy now, pay later. So in other words, you can own the product now, but you pay it later. We are so conditioned to being pulled out of our current reality. What if we don't realize what buy now, pay later really means in accumulated interest costs and time costs? Buy now, pay later. Most of us know that one. So now I want to tie it to a different place. I can remember in the late 60s, early 70s, getting very active in a group called Greenpeace. And that was in Vancouver, British Columbia. It very quickly became an international sort of organization, and it became part of Save the Whales, and it's now bigger than that. And even then, I was listening to speakers who talked about one day we would pay environmentally for all of the things that we were doing. And it was a rather interesting prof, and I was sort of, wow, yeah. But of course, it had no relationship to me because he was talking about future time, not current reality. Well, this is a really good example where not paying attention or projecting out into current reality what the results are going to be. It's a really good example because, 60 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, the environmentalists and the future thinkers were telling us that we were going to pay a price for our behavior, for our industrialization of the world. Our current reality didn't make any sense because we could not see it, we could not touch it, we could not truly be with it. It was all future projected. Now, if you look at the world now, in current reality, the droughts, the extreme drought in China and the Asia, and the heat wave that is currently there, or you look at Europe and the UK experiencing drought and high temperatures, or you look at the forest fires on the west coast of North America, and even on the east coast, and the droughts in the south. Current reality, that's it. We were warned. We were told, if you buy this now, you will pay later. And for me, it is quite stunning in the sense that its impact has caught me by surprise and caught many people by complete surprise. Here we are. What do we do about it? I read an article this morning that China's response to the drought and the loss of hydroelectric power is to activate and to build more coal-fired electricity generators and dump even more pollution into the atmosphere, which of course will increase the environmental impact and make everything worse. Now, why? Well, politicians deal with only now without, I want to make you happy. Buy now, but we'll pay later. The Republicans in the United States for years have been denying that there is an environmental impact. But that's not only true in the United States, it's true in Canada and true in Europe. There's been deniers, or people just say, this is just not real. I can't taste it. I can't feel it, so it's not real. Truth is, buy now, pay later. Yes, it is real. So how can we use current reality in a way that will help us more? It's always, I remember something that my grandmother said to me when I was quite young, and I had gotten on my little motor scooter and I'd gone down to Devon to visit with her, and I was talking about a particular problem I was having, and it was romantic. And I didn't know if this was good or if she would actually say yes. And she said something that now sticks in my mind. Jeffrey, stick your finger in the ground and then sniff it. And I paused, and she said, if it smells like shit, you should move. Oh my God, current reality. Stick your finger in the ground, and if it smells bad, maybe you should move. So, how is this useful? And why should we pay attention to being in current reality? Like everybody else, I enjoy a good fiction book. I enjoy a good action movie or drama because they take me away for a while and transport me into a different place, So I feel different and I feel better for a short term. If I live too long in that unreality, in that fictionalized world, I think it would be a problem. So current reality. Now, one of the things is that when I'm coaching somebody, I give them an exercise I call getting to current reality. And most people don't even know that they're existing outside of it. And if you're interested, send me an email to geo@mycuriousmind.blog, and I will send it to you, getting to current reality. See, if I live in an unreality, I sometimes find myself getting quite upset when I see on television an advertisement for 8-cylinder turbocharged gigantic petroleum-based polluting cars. Well, you can tell that I'm completely biased. But there are all sorts of things. There's some people that their current reality is that, well, hey, that's great. I'll have one. I'll buy one of those. Buy now, pay later. Current reality helps us make decisions based on where we are. It'll have us look at what is actual, what's occurring now. If I eat that extra serving, or I eat that ice cream too often, or if I have, bacon and eggs every morning, there will be consequences. Buy now, pay later. It is, but of course, our bank account and our belt, if we're wearing pants, or any belt, or our dress size, will keep us in current reality in certain ways. If there's not enough money in my bank, the bank might offer me a overdraft, or they might offer me an expansion on my Visa or MasterCard. Buy now, pay later. But our bodies will not do that. If you do continue, kind of eating all that cheese and all that canned meat and fish and really loading up, your body will tell you, and current reality will be that you'll either gain weight, get unhealthy. So part of the purpose of current reality and being grounded in it yourself is to improve your life, to give yourself a better life. And if you have a better life, you can help others have a better life. Your children can have better lives. Your spouse. So, current reality keeps us grounded. Now, what about traveling in the timeline back? If you sit there, and I can remember being in high school, I was a local track run. 400 meters or 440 yards, I was really good at it. I even made the district team and got put up for the state team. Well, you would call it state. So if I was to take my 77-year-old body and try and run 400 meters now, I would really damage my feet, my legs, my back, whatever, because number one, I'm not trained, and number two, it just doesn't function the same way anymore. It's a bit of a challenge. So current reality protects us. But there are so many influences, buy now, pay later, that get us. TV programs that project what's going to happen, or a good comedy, or a great fiction, or a superhero. They all pull me out of current reality, and they actually change my current reality. Have you ever met people that always talk about the past? oh, when I was in high school, or when I had my company, or when we lived over here, they have an emotional attachment to the past. There's nothing wrong with that on one level, but if that's where they actually are living in that past, it's a huge problem. Because they will be making decisions that influence their life and impact those around them with the past. I mean, if I say to my wife, oh, I'm going to go for a run just like I used to when I was in high school, she would be phoning an ambulance to get me. And there would be emotional impact and physical impact on her, on me, on everyone else. Now, that might be a bit of an assumption, but I think so. Current reality, it doesn't always feel great. Sometimes you need to recognize that it is, this is tough. But the good news is things change incrementally and sometimes dramatically. You can make changes, but you can only make changes and successful changes if they're based on current reality for you. If you are trying to make changes that are based on the past, or you've projected yourself forward into making changes that you have no idea is going to be, well, I'm going to spend this money because I know that I'm going to get a bonus at the end of the year. And instead, at the end of the year, you get let go because the economy is bad. So life is a challenge. Life is what it is. What is. Enjoy your future reality and your daydreams. Enjoy your past memories or your past realities. And enjoy time traveling. And I suggest stay in current reality. Lots of love and all the best, Jeffrey.